Good afternoon and welcome to Steps to Health 2021. We are doing a series of health talks online because of COVID-19 restrictions. The first 4 classes were on physical health. The next 3 will be on emotional health. And today's topic will be depression. But before we start, let's have a word of prayer. Precious Lord, you created us. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. You designed us to live forever and to be healthy and not be sick. But sin changed all of that, so you gave us principles to live by. We pray you will help us to present these life-changing principles to everyone joining us today so they can have a longer and healthier life. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. There are many reasons for depression. What we are seeing now is that people are not able to interact with friends and family as they used to do. And there's more isolation, so people are getting more depressed. Sometimes depression is caused by a catastrophic event that brings it on, and other times it's an accumulation of small things. It may be the loss of someone very dear to you, like a spouse or a friend, or an aunt or uncle, or maybe even a pet. It also could be the loss of a job or a dream. These classes are not meant to take the place of counseling from your healthcare provider. It is possible that depression can also be a side effect of some medications. So you need to check that out also. And there can be a lack of vitamins and minerals that can cause or contribute to it. Other causes could be alcoholism, substance abuse, hormonal changes, and even the change of seasons. In the series on physical health, you learned about New Start. This is an acronym for Healthy Lifestyle Principles. It stands for nutrition, exercise, water, sunlight, temperance, air, rest, and trust in God or a higher power. All of these things will help you fight any disease, whether it's diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, lung problems, or depression, and many others. We add a few extra things for depression to help make sure that you get the best that you can. Adults and children have similar symptoms, but women are 2 times more likely to get depression than men, but men are 3 to 4 times more likely to commit suicide. In 2012, the suicide rates in the military exceeded the combat deaths. So this is not something to be taken lightly. If someone you know is talking about taking their life, you need to encourage them to seek a counselor who can help them through their depression. Nutrition is vital in this fight for health. A whole foods, plant-based diet has been shown to be the most beneficial. A large variety of fruits, vegetables, grains, seeds and nuts, beans and greens will put you on the road to health. Research has shown that by nutrition and lifestyle, cancer cells can be shut down or encouraged to proliferate. If you are a meat eater, try doing 1 day a week as a vegetarian menu. Then gradually go to 2 days, then 3, etc., until you've totally changed over to a vegetarian diet. It is more successful to change in small steps than try to make a drastic change in one fell swoop. Our bodies are alkaline and animal products are acidic. In order for the body to use animal products, it has to neutralize them. It uses calcium to do that. So if there isn't enough calcium in the food, the body will take it from the bones or the teeth or other parts of the body. That's why those countries that eat the most dairy have the highest rates of osteoporosis. When you're trying to change the way you eat, it is more effective to find new recipes for food choices than to try and make your family's favorite dishes using vegan ingredients. It just will not taste the same. We used to like barbecued spare ribs, but now we have a new favorite, barbecued burgers made with jackfruit, and it's really yummy. Try to get as many leafy greens in your diet as you can. When cooking broccoli or garlic, you will enhance its nutrients by cutting it first, letting it rest, and then cooking it. For garlic, you let it rest 10 minutes. For broccoli, you let it rest 40 minutes. And then you can cook it however much you need to. If you want to know the latest on food research, go to nutritionfacts.org. This is Dr. Michael Greger's website. Along with food, you also need water. You just don't want to take them at the same time. Water dilutes the stomach acid and the food stays in the stomach longer. The brain is at least 70% water, so if you get dehydrated, the brain won't be able to communicate with the rest of the body as well. You should drink at least 6 to 8 glasses of water a day, or half your weight in ounces of water. If you weigh 180 pounds, you would need 90 ounces of water, or a little over 11 glasses of water a day. And how do you know if you're dehydrated? You can't go by thirst. If your urine is pale, you are probably okay. But if it's dark yellow, you need to up the amount of water that you are drinking. Taking several sips every 20 to 30 minutes is better than taking a bunch of water at one time. You can't take your daily portion first thing in the morning and then nothing the rest of the day. Your body will be dehydrated in the afternoon. 2 glasses of warm water first thing in the morning with a little lemon is a good liver flush. Don't forget that water on the outside of our bodies is good too. Keeping our bodies clean, especially our largest organ, which is our skin, makes it easier for our body to detoxify. It's important to get your B vitamins, vitamin D and C, and omega-3 and 6 fatty acids. We usually get enough omega-6s. Omega-3 foods are consumed less often. Those foods rich in omega-3 include flaxseed, chia seeds, walnuts, soybeans, algae, hemp seed, spinach, Brussels sprouts, purslane, tofu, broccoli, cauliflower, and all members of the cabbage family. Fish are a source of omega-3s, but a group of scientists traveled the earth and went to every stream, pond, river, and lake that they could get to, and they found that all the waters of the earth were contaminated. So plants are a better choice. Taking 1 or 2 tablespoons of flax a day is a good thing. And now Marty will show us a tasty way to get our daily dose.
Hi, okay, what I want to show you is how to make some wonderful flax bars. I call it Bar the Way to Depression. They're very simple to make, and what a better way to treat yourself than with something really tasty and something very simple to make. This has just some very simple ingredients, and I will go ahead and we'll get the recipe up on the screen. While we're waiting for that to come up, I will mention that we have flaxseed that we'll be using, almond butter or peanut butter. We'll be using honey. And we are having a few difficulties. Flax bars, by the way, are good for stress. It's up. Flax bars are very good for stress. Maybe I'll have one right now and we'll all feel really good. Right. So it's not showing up on there. It is. Okay, so we're fine. My recipe's up. Okay. All righty. Okay, so let's get started on making this. The first thing we're going to find and use is flaxseed, like Sharon mentioned. You can find this at Walmart. This is a 1-pound sack, and it will make one of these recipes very easily. It's very inexpensive. It's about $3 for this.
Water.
The other ingredient we will use will be honey. This will take about 3/4 of a cup of honey. And then we add molasses. And when you use molasses, you want to use the good unsulfured molasses. You can use peanut butter or almond butter. And I would recommend that if you go to make these, get the almond butter and the peanut butter that has no added ingredients. So you want just basically the pure peanut butter or almond butter. No added salt, no added sugar. That'll be a lot healthier for you. So anyway, we're going to get started. If you did this correctly, it won't be so much exercise. If you don't do it quite correctly, you're going to get your exercise mixing it because it's pretty stiff dough. So just a moment here. Okay. Here, right here. It's fine. Okay. Technology is fun, isn't it? Okay. All right. Okay. So am I ready? I'm ready. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is we are going to add the softer ingredients first. We are going to add 1 cup of almond butter. Where am I supposed to be looking? Here. We're going to add 1 cup of almond butter to our bowl. And you definitely want your almond butter or your peanut butter room temperature. If you do this with cold peanut butter, you are going to get a workout like you won't believe, which could be a good thing. Part of depression is exercise. So it depends on how you look at it. I tend to be an optimist, so I think, oh, just more exercise. Okay, and then from there, we're going to add 3/4 of a cup of honey. Now, I have learned a little trick that if you add a little oil to the container that you're going to put your honey into, it does help the honey to slide out much easier. Now, this is a 1 cup measure, but this is not a rocket science recipe. You can just wing it if you're so inclined, and I tend to wing it. So this is not an exact 3/4 cup. The main thing you're trying to do is just to get everything to hold together. I don't like to dirty a lot of cups, so if I can use one to do double duty, I will do that. Okay. So now I'm going to add my honey. As you can see, or at least visualize, it's pretty sticky in here. Next, I will add 1/2 tablespoon of molasses. And again, you want the good molasses. It has the unsulfured blackstrap. It's got lots of minerals. And the peanut butter and the almond butter are high in tryptophans, which are really good for helping overcome depression. I am also now going to add 1/2 tablespoon of vanilla. I use the dry powdered vanilla. You can use liquid, it won't make any difference. And we're adding 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Got that in. And I think that's pretty much it, except right now we're going to mix everything together. I don't know if you can see this at all. We'll just mix it up. And if you practice your breathing while you do this, you'll get extra benefits because it will help. Okay. Now here's the part where it gets a little bit tricky. We're adding 2 cups of ground flaxseed. You would use probably about 1.25 cups of whole flaxseed to grind it up to 2 cups of powder. If you double this recipe, you're going to get plenty of bars that will last you at least a whole month, because one recipe, you need to have 2 bars a day to get the total flax that you need in helping to overcome depression. So I have found that when I put in the flax, this is where the work begins. But I found that this handy-dandy tool that you don't see much of anymore is very, very helpful in this. It seems to mash things together quite well. So I'm going to get in here and just stir things in. And the flax you can find just about anywhere. If you want to grind your own, you can use a coffee grinder, a seed grinder, a blender, mortar and pestle. Any of those things will work just fine. If you buy whole flaxseed, the golden or the brown are fine. There is some difference in them, but not enough nutritional difference to make a big difference. And you can keep it in your refrigerator, in your freezer. It lasts quite a long time without going rancid. Okay. We're just about there. I don't know if you can tell, but I am having to work it pretty good. That's why you really want a flaxseed that's ground pretty well. This flax meal that I got from Walmart is ground up very nicely, so it should really blend in very well. Okay. Now this is a little dry still, so I would normally maybe add a little extra honey, but I won't take the time right now. But basically you just want it so it will hold together. Okay. Would someone be kind enough to get me a fork, please? I forgot a fork. Okay, now I'm going to, this is a step you just don't want to forget to do. You want to take a little oil, actually you want to take a fair amount, and you want to really oil your bowl. Flax is quite sticky, and when you bake it a little like we're going to do, it becomes like cement. So there are a few tricks to this. So I'm oiling this quite well. And then I'm going to take this and put it in here. And then if I can have the fork. Thank you, Sharon. Okay, so I wet my fork, and I get in here and I push it down. Just keep the depth of it even all the way around. You're going to set your oven at 300 for 25 minutes, and as you can see, it goes pretty quickly, so I would sure set my oven heating while you're putting this together. And I do want to stress that it's 2 cups of ground flaxseed. Don't take 2 cups of flaxseed and grind it because you're going to get way too much flaxseed meal. So make sure you're using the ground meal when you make this. Now this recipe will make easily 16 bars. In these 2 cups there's 32 tablespoons of flaxseed. 1 tablespoon of flaxseed has almost 1,600 milligrams of omega-3. So if you have 16 bars, and you eat 1 of them, you're actually getting, if I'm doing my math right, you're actually getting your 2 tablespoons of flax. Okay, so make sure I've got this about right. Okay, now here's the other trick that's really important. Because these bake up so quickly and so hard, I would recommend you take something, dip it in water, and score the bars ahead of time. It's not normally how you do your baking, but with flax bars, I really would. Otherwise, they're almost impossible to cut once you get them out of the oven. And if you do get them out of the oven and you realize you did not score them ahead of time, do it just as soon as you possibly can. Okay. Okay, so now I have my bars, and I actually go around the edge a little bit too, just in the hopes they won't stick so bad. But really, once they're done, they are so good. And I was thinking, not only are they good for us, but what if you have a neighbor who's maybe a little grumpy? These flax bars will help. They're so good with mood, just so very, very good. So you can always take a gift of these to your neighbor and say, would you like some? And maybe the neighbor won't realize that you're helping him with their mood. So anyway, this is what they look like. So you will go ahead and, like I said, bake them at 300 for 30 minutes. When they come out, let them sit for 5 to 10 minutes. And then try and get them out of the dish, lay them out somewhere flat. You'll have to be a little careful because they do break easily still at that point. But then you've got at least 16 bars. And it really was not much money to make these. This was like $3. A cup of almond butter is probably less than $2 easily. Honey is also not that expensive. So it's a very simple, cost-effective recipe for helping you with your mental health. And you will find that it really does make a difference. So I hope you make it. If you have any questions, let us know. Thank you.
A couple of questions.
Okay.
The first question is, how does flaxseed help depression? Is there something in the flaxseed that helps the mind, the brain, or is it something in the oil? What exactly, how does it work?
Well, flaxseed has the ALLs in it, which are fatty acids, and they are very, very good for the brain. They help you overcome stress. They're also high in vitamins and minerals. They're high fiber. And the other thing I need to I think of that, is that the flaxseed needs to be broken in order to be effective. So make sure that whenever you use flaxseed to break them up. But they're high in the ALLs, the alpha-linoleic acid.
What does it say on there?
4. That's what flax have in them.
So is it like garlic then, where it has to be broken in order for it to have the properties that we need for our body, the flax?
Well, garlic has its properties no matter what form you use it, but the flaxseed is definitely one that you need to break. Otherwise, it just passes through whole, and that's not the best thing for you.
Another question we have here live is, why do you prefer dry powdered vanilla?
Well, I find it's easier for me to use the dry powder than the liquid. And if I want to make some goods that don't have a discoloration from the liquid vanilla, I will use that. Some people choose not to use a liquid vanilla because of the alcohol content in it, but you can get vanilla with glycerin. So I think for me it's just a matter of personal preference. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. Enjoy these. You're welcome.
I know. Oh, there we go. Okay. Thank you, Marty. That was a great demo. We all know that we need rest. And if we don't get it, we don't function as efficiently as we could. And we are more prone to accidents. Our brains don't think as clearly. But we all need 8 to 9 hours of sleep at night. The hours before midnight are worth 2 of those after midnight. It's during our deep sleep, or our REM sleep, that our body does its repair work. It gets rid of toxins, it processes worn-out cells, it cleans our spinal fluid, and a myriad of other things. Our digestion shuts down while it's doing this. So that is why we want to have an empty stomach when we go to bed. Every process in the body creates toxins or debris. If there is food in the stomach, it will start to ferment, which will lead to inflammation. And inflammation is thought to be involved in every disease. When you go to bed, find a comfortable position and stay still for 20 minutes, and you will usually drift off to sleep. You may have to do it a second time. We also have to be aware that temperance is a part of the protocol for getting over depression. We need to find balance in our life. It's not overdoing anything, whether it's food, alcohol, drugs, TV. By overeating, it brings on obesity and diabetes. Too much alcohol can produce liver damage, brain fog, memory loss. It means not overdoing things that are good for us and not abusing those things that are bad for us and maybe should be eliminated, such as smoking. The Bible says that in all things, give thanks. So a gratitude journal is another thing that is helpful. It helps to help you collect your thoughts and putting them down on paper. It's a way of thanking God for everything that He does for you. You don't have to write in it every day, maybe once a week or whatever seems convenient for you. And it shows our trust in God. Forgiveness is also an important part of this program. It helps to relieve stress and to show our Christ-like character. It makes us healthier to not carry that burden around with us. Music is you've heard this phrase, music calms the wild beast. But the music has to be the right kind of music. It cannot have any harsh rhythms like rock music. It needs to be classical music or classical hymns. They are great for your frontal lobe. And plants and animals have adverse reactions to rock music. A dairy farmer one time decided he would try out different kinds of music on his dairy cows. So he tried rock music, and he had popular show tunes, and he tried classical music. And the cows gave the most milk and were the calmest when he played the classical music. Oh, are you ready yet? For the lights. Okay, yes. Getting sunshine every day helps to set our circadian rhythm. Try to get out in the sun first thing in the morning. It helps set our sleep and wake cycle. In northern climes, we don't get enough sunshine in the winter, and we can suffer from SAD, or seasonal affective disorder. I had that for a number of years until I discovered full spectrum lights. Now I keep them in my kitchen and haven't noticed any severe episodes since I started doing that. We get our vitamin D from the sun. The sun reacts with the cholesterol under our skin to make vitamin D. In winter, we may have to supplement with 5,000 IUs of vitamin D. There are a couple of ways to augment our sunshine needs, and Marty will show us her light box and how she uses it, and also another option.
Okay. Okay. Oh, there we are. Okay. So I've had an experience with light boxes. I didn't think I was suffering from depression because I'm naturally a cheerful person. But, you know, we did a depression recovery seminar, and I thought, you know, maybe I should try one of these, because I was having a difficult time getting up in the morning, but the rest of the day I was fine. So I went ahead and I got one of these. This is a smaller light box. It is 10,000 lux. It's very simple to use, and there's many different ways to use them, but on this particular one you can set it for 15, 30, or 45 minutes, whatever you feel like your time frame is that you need. I will say that light boxes do vary per person. Some people only need 15 minutes of the light in the morning. Some people need more. You have to kind of adjust for yourself because everybody is different. The way that I use the little one is I would get up, and if you use it within the first half hour of rising, that should be the best effect. And I would go and sit at my desk where I like to read in the morning, and I would set this about 18 inches away from me. I would turn it on, and I would just use it as I was reading. If you look directly at it, you're not supposed to do that, so don't do that. You almost feel like it is too bright, but really if it's just off to the side, 16 to 18 inches, and use it for the average time usually is about 30 minutes. There we go, sorry. Is about 30 minutes. That works really well. There are some times when you need to use this. If your system, when you use this, if you tend to not be able to get to sleep at night and you've been using this, it's because you need to reverse when you use it. Most people use it in the morning. Some people need to use it about an hour or so before bed, a couple hours before bed, and that will help reset their circadian rhythms. They also have the larger lights, like this one here. It's quite tall. You can use that if you're sitting in a chair somewhere. It's also very effective. You want to look for lights that have 10,000 lux. That is the most common basis. And there are also ones out there that are white light, like this one is a white light. There is also out there now a blue light, what they call a SAD light, seasonal affect disorder light. But the blue light is not as effective as the white. I'm not sure I could tell you exactly why at this time. I'm still learning about it. But I do know that the white light has been very effective for me and has helped me get up in the mornings. And usually you just use it through the winter, but you may find that you need to use it year-round. So that's also another experiment that you can try. So everyone's different. Just, I really recommend them, and you might need to set some sort of calendar marker so when winter comes along, you don't slide into winter and say, oh, why am I not feeling really good? And then you remember, oh, I need my SAD light. So that's oftentimes the case. So anyway, that's what I know, and I hope it helps you. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. One of the most effective ways of treating depression is with cognitive behavior therapy. Are you mad, sad, or think life is bad? Try CBT. It's learning to change our thought patterns from negative to positive. Some books on this subject are Telling Yourself the Truth and SOS for Emotions. A task we give our students in our in-person classes is to not say anything negative for 2 weeks. As soon as you recognize a negative thought, turn it into a positive one. As long as you don't verbalize it, you are okay. If you verbalize it, that day becomes day 1, and you start over on the 2 weeks. On June 6th, we will have a full session on CBT, so be sure to tune in to that. In Romans 8:28, it says, all things work together for good. If you walk in the sunshine and fresh air while playing classical music on your phone or CD player, and you have your water bottle with you, you have just taken care of a major portion of the protocol for depression recovery. And we hope that the things that you're learning today today will be helpful to you. The key to make everything work best together is exercise. Our lymph system doesn't have a pump. The heart is the pump for the circulatory system, and the lymph will flow only when we are moving. And that the lymph is filled with toxins that the body throws off, and it needs to get them down to where they can be eliminated. But the only way they will be eliminated is if we move. So Marty's going to give us some good ideas about exercise and different things we can do. So, Marty?
And depression. Part of the conundrum with exercise and depression is that in order to make some good progress with depression, you need to exercise, but you don't really feel like exercising. So I want to take a look at some things that might motivate us and some things that, some attitudes that we have. You know, there's a lot of benefits to here we go. There we go. Let's go back to that. A lot of benefits to exercise. We can probably list them all by heart because we've heard them so many times. In fact, when we hear exercise, most of us just kind of go, yeah, I know, but we don't really want to do exercise. But when we look at the benefits of exercise, it really is amazing. And I wonder sometimes why we're so resistant. So we have stroke. It's beneficial to prevent stroke, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, cancer, arthritis. You know, there's a saying that says, motion is lotion. And I know many people that have arthritis that if they don't keep moving, they hurt worse than if they do move. And they believe that motion is lotion. So if you have any joint issues, I really recommend exercise. Also, weight management. I know that when you get moving, it just does something to help your appetite. It just gives you more determination. It's really an enhancement. We also know that exercise is good for osteoporosis. For balance, as we get older, especially, you want to keep the exercise going strong because you don't want to fall. You don't want to be in a position where you are going to have an accident. And possibly, have to go to a nursing home short term, in-care home. There's many, many reasons to exercise. The biggest thing is cognitive improvement at this time because there is such an increase in Alzheimer's and vascular dementia. Exercise is so vital. Studies are coming out showing that the 8 laws of health that we are presenting here in Steps to Health are fundamental to the prevention of vascular dementia and Alzheimer's. So I really encourage you to get out and exercise. And we'll talk about different styles and methods of exercise. It also helps with verbal skills. And also it helps with your spatial awareness, those things around you. So there's many reasons to exercise. Excuse me. So I titled this little talk, Why Sweat It? And wouldn't it be nice if we could just sit back and relax like this young man in the wheelbarrow and just be at peace with our health? But, time goes fast, and before you know it, we move from those days of youthful energy to days of, hey, where did all these aches and pains come from? And then given on top of that, we have this COVID situation, and that just adds to the layer. And it's really hard sometimes to what I call fight back. So let's take a look at some of the things that might interfere with us. Some of them I call them our attitudes that we have. But before I forget, I want to remind you that our God, our Creator, is also a recreator. If you have spent neglectful years harming your body, God is so good. He comes alongside, and if you make an effort, He will bless you. It's like the people that smoke, that quit smoking, and then years later their lungs are just about completely clear. So it's the same thing with exercise. If you haven't been doing exercise, I really encourage you to take it up, and I think you will find immediate blessings right away. So this is kind of a scenario that plays through our heads when we hear of exercise. And I chose this because it's sure what went through my mind. So here's how it goes. Johnny, you need to go outside and do something. You're sitting around the house too much. It's Mom. Johnny says, but I don't want to. Why do I have to? And Mom, of course, says, because it's good for you and because I said so. And we know Mom is always right. So, but what is it she noticed when Johnny went outside to play and he came back in? She noticed that his mood improved, he focused better, his appetite improved, he burned off extra energy, he was no longer listless, he was more interactive, and he slept better. Excuse me just a moment, I need to take a sip. And he slept better. So Mom knew the benefits of exercise, and those same benefits for Johnny back then can be our benefits today. So let's take a look at some of these attitudes. I hope it will help you today. It kind of gave me a chuckle as I thought about some of these things. I think we've all heard these, if not in our own mind, our own excuses, but we've heard them for other people. So if there's so many benefits to exercise, what is it we say? Do we say, I'm too old? Well, you're never too old to exercise. You can start at any age and realize the benefits. In fact, if you want to maintain your independence, it's good to exercise. And we will go into exercise you can do when you're older. So one of the other attitudes, comments, we might say, I'm too young, I don't need to exercise. But you know, if you think about it, when you're born, you come out exercising. Have you ever tried to keep up with a toddler or an infant as they're doing their movements? So it's only as we get older and as we get more involved in life that we start getting some other attitudes like too busy. I'm too busy. And there's ways around that. We all know that. We can reschedule things. And one of the phrases I've heard recently that really struck me was this one. If you don't take time for your health today, your health will force you to take time tomorrow. So, excuse me, why not plan ahead and start trying some exercises? And we hope to encourage you along that line. Maybe you're too tired. We can be too tired sometimes, and we just don't want to get out and do something. But frequently, if you're tired and you go and exercise, you'll actually get more energy. That's the way the Lord designed it. Expenditure, you get a blessing in return. Maybe you're just not in the mood. That's a lot of times the case. We just don't want to do it right now. And another one is Mr. Procrastinator. He shows up and you say, maybe later. Yeah, later. And I think you can read up there, it says, never put off tomorrow what you can do to, and Mr. Procrastinator walks out the door and turns out the light. So those are attitudes that we can have. And the thing is it's the doing of what we know is good for us. That is where the battle is to do what we know is good for us. So I want to encourage you to start little. Let the small steps add up. It's like saving pennies. They don't seem like much, not nearly as impressive as a shiny new quarter, but all of those pennies do add up. So I want to talk about some different types of exercise. There's 3 types. We have stretching, strength, and aerobic. And the stretching we'll start with first. There's a site on YouTube called Fitness Blender. And they have some very good simple stretches that you can go to. And they take about 5 to 10 minutes. It's an all-over body stretch. And stretching is also very good for you because it is also one of the things that keeps you limber, less apt to fall, and just overall good health. The second one is strength. Strength exercises where you're actually building strength in your muscles. This can be done from a lot of different ways. I have here, let me see, you can see them down in the smaller one is fine. You have some small hand weights that you can use. You can use a can of beans in your own home. You know, this is a little less than a pound, but you know, you can do these. Use these to strengthen. You don't have to spend a lot of money on exercise equipment. And if you think about it, if you do spend a lot of money on exercise equipment, it could be depressing when you realize you're not using it and you wasted all that money. It can be self-defeating. So in some respects, I say start out small at home and see if you can be consistent, work into that, see what you like, see what you don't like, and then go from there. So even a bottle of water, this is a little over a pound, and you can do that. Now, if you're a guy, you can start out with bigger weights. Men normally can. And depending on your age bracket, you can determine what's best for you. You do not want to lift to the point of injury. And this also works with stretching, but this is also good for a more isometric type of exercise that you can use. These are just stretching bands. They're very handy. And if you have nothing, you can just use your own body weight as an exercise, like put your arms against the wall and just lean in. There's lots of isometric exercises out there. Now I have up here one called Bob and Brad, YouTube, Core Exercises for Seniors. Now I'm not assuming you're all seniors, but seniors is a good place to start if you're just starting out because it's not so overwhelming. If you look at exercise at home video clips and you see these people out there just jumping off the roof and doing all these things that would they scare me away. I know I couldn't do that. So I really recommend the senior version just to get you broken in. And then as you realize this is too little for me, you can go on YouTube and find many at-home exercise videos to do. But the video style that's most important for us is the cardio workout. On the cardio, that's where you're getting all the oxygen into your blood. That oxygen goes through your whole body and benefits your brain, the most, and it releases those endorphins that you need that help fight depression. So I would really recommend that. I have a few things here that you can look at. One is Walk at Home by Leslie Sansone. She does exercises that you can do at home in the privacy of your home. You don't have the whole neighborhood watching you. It's a good way to break into exercise. Many different levels. What I really like is she has some in there for men. Now men seem to think that maybe they're more excused from exercise than women because they're busy. They're going around doing all sorts of stuff. And maybe they don't feel like they need to exercise quite as much. But the men need the cardio just as much as the women do. So I would check those out. There's also one called Powered to Move. And this is for special needs people. If you have a disability or you're a senior, special disabilities, you need exercise too. And they have all sorts of tailored videos there on YouTube that you should check out. All of these things will help you as you strive to overcome or stave off depression. And then we have our children. There's a YouTube channel called Mo Jones, M-O-E-J-O-N-E-S, Mo Jones. And it's a wonderful series for getting the youth, our children, to exercise. And I think that they would enjoy it. So those are the things I want to encourage you with. There are other information out there that you can find on exercising. How much your heart rate should be, how long. They do recommend that you exercise 5 times a week for 30 minutes a day for good aerobic exercise. And there, excuse me, finding out that it's best to have interval training. My apologies. Interval training, where you will exercise vigorously and then you'll take a break. So it's about 45 seconds of vigorous exercise and then maybe 30 seconds of a calmer exercise. So many of those things are that way. I would like to demonstrate to you now, though, why exercise is so important to depression, and I want to show you through a little bit of an object lesson. So I'm going to close this. As I was thinking about this, exercise is so vital to everything we do. From every ailment you have, but especially in depression, because of the endorphins that come out. If you can get me my cough lozenge over there. And I will try and make this through without coughing. That's right there. Yeah. So, here's my thought. We are given a lot of things that we can do for depression. We have all the basic information. They're the ingredients. This right here. Thank you. I'm glad I'm with friends and family today because this would never make international TV, right? Anyway, so we have the basic ingredients for depression that will help you to fight depression. And so if we take all those facts and we just put them in the bowl like a cake mix. Okay, so we've got a cake mix here and I'm reading the directions that tells us everything we need, just like with depression. There's things that we can do: sunshine, air, temperance, nutrition, all those things. So, okay, now it says I've got the basic ingredient. I need a cup of water and a half a cup of vegetable oil. So I'm going to put this in here. And by the way, this is lemon cake, my favorite. And then it says we need eggs. Well, I don't do eggs, but there is egg replacer. This is also flaxseed and some other things, so I'll dump that in. So now we have the ingredients all sitting in this bowl, ready to make a cake. And this is like depression recovery. We have all the ingredients, we have all this knowledge, but we need to put it to use. And exercise is the key that makes everything that we have effective for you. Now, if I just took this cake mix just like this, and I just put it right in the oven just like this, would you want to eat it? As it came out, some people are saying maybe, maybe not. Mainly it's the men that would say that, sure. But you know, I don't think I would want this, and I wouldn't want to serve it to my guests this way. But if we take this and we pretend that this is exercise, and it is in the making of the cake, and we whip this up, and we stir it, and we get everything to mix together. You can see where I'm going with this, I'm sure. I think that we're going to get a much better result than if we left everything separate. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time mixing it. It's a bright sunny yellow that shows you it's the right cake for depression. It's yellow, sunny. It's good stuff. Okay. And then the other thing we're supposed to do, of course, is to spray our pan or oil it, whichever you prefer. Okay. And then we pour it into the pan. Now, if you're like me, you're already planning what type of frosting you're going to put on it. And that would be the blessing of doing exercise. You get blessings, the frosting on the cake. So I'm going to pour this out. And now I'm going to be willing to bake this and serve it to my company that might come. But it's certainly much more effective this way and what I want it to be than if I did this without stirring everything together. So I just want to encourage you, take the things that you're learning, put them together, but to make everything work, get out and exercise. Set goals for yourself, start small. If you can walk a block, great. The next day, go out and walk 2 blocks. And even better, find someone to walk with, because it will help everyone else. We all need to have that little bit of social time. The other thing I wanted to remind you, that was it. When you're out walking, it's best to get your exercise outside. If you can't, though, stand in your house, don't open up the windows, and exercise in front of the windows. Don't worry about the neighbors, just exercise in front of the window and get your fresh air. Fresh air is vital to exercise. And then when you're out there and you're exercising, practice your deep breathing, and I want to tell you about that real quick. Deep breathing, what you would do is you will breathe into the count of 4 seconds, and you're not going to breathe just from the upper chest. You're going to also expand the abdomen to the count of 4 seconds. You're going to hold it to the count of 7 seconds. And then for the count of 8, you're going to exhale out through your mouth, not just lightly but you're really going to exhale and empty your lungs. And do that. It is a great stress reliever. If you do, I think it's like 5 to 7 of those, you get a complete exchange of oxygen within your blood system. Just think how beneficial that is. It costs no money. And it is a tool for helping you to sleep at night. It's good for stress reduction. I had a friend who had white coat syndrome whenever he went to the doctor. He was supposed to go to the doctor the next day. And he said one time he went in and his blood pressure was so high from the white coat syndrome that they took him and went to run an EKG on him because they were so concerned. So knowing he was going to go in the next day, and he didn't want to go through that again, I told him about the breathing exercise, the 4, 7, and 8 principle. And he did that, and the next day, we got a text from him saying it worked. So he was really stoked. He was really happy that it has that effect. So I just want to encourage you to try it. And I hope that there was enough maybe here to wet your whistle to get out. Just get out and try. Just do something. Make some small steps. Don't be hard on yourself, but just make some small steps. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marty. Those are great tips. And we hope that you will all take the advice that she's been giving you. It's wonderful to be able to use the New Start program. Remember, it stands for nutrition, exercise, water, sunlight, temperance, air, rest, and trust in God or a higher power. So those are principles that you can follow every day. And as long as you keep doing them over and over again, your depression should lift and you'll be feeling so much better than you are now if you're suffering from depression. If you have any questions, you can send them into the chat room or write them to Steps to Health Chewelah, SDA, @gmail.com. And just Steps to Health Chewelah? Okay. @gmail.com. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, Steps to Health Chewelah @gmail.com. Do we have any questions? Okay. All right. We'd like to close with prayer, and Steve's going to do our prayer today.
Thank you each for coming. I hope that you have been blessed and learned a new tip or trick to help with the depression that either you are dealing with or that you know a family member is dealing with. It is a very serious thing. I know I have been there and not done well, and some of these simple things would have helped immensely when I was going through that. So as we close today, again, I thank you for the presenters and the help, and I'm going to have a closing word of prayer, and we'll call it a day. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for the very simple things that you have placed in our reach the flaxseed and the fresh air and the exercise and the fellowship with friends and family. These things you have put in motion for our health and our benefit. So please help us to take advantage of those things. Use them wisely and carefully, but definitely take advantage of them. Please continue to give us wisdom and protection, I pray. In your holy name, amen.
Coming up in 2 weeks will be another session, and that the program then will be communication in marriage, and the pastor will be doing that program, him and his wife. They are counselors, and so please tune in, and we hope to see you then. That'll be in 2 weeks on April 11th, I believe that is. So hope to see you then. Thank you.